Hello everyone, I'm Carol Carnes. Welcome to Living Consciously. Well, I'll bet all of you, without question, are wanting something for your life. It's not unusual for all of us to want greater prosperity or greater health and vitality, or deeper relationships, unconditional love, or creativity. We want better ideas to take into our professional life. This is natural to humans, to desire something. Where we got it wrong was thinking that the answer was out there. The truth is, we want those things because we innately know on some level that they are the vehicles for self-expression. What we're really seeking is greater self-expression. Everybody wants to be seen and known for who they really are. And so we think if we just have, greater prosperity, more money, or a better relationship, or better health, then we could have, if we just had those, we could be more in the world. But that's backwards. I know everyone thinks that's the way it works, and that was what we were taught, but we're learning now that that's backwards. Now we know that we must be it, we will automatically do it, and then we will have it. So we really want to be more, but we often think that being more means having something first, but that's not it. What we really want is fuller self-expression. And we are mistakenly taught that we have to somehow draw it to us. I don't know how to do that. I don't think anybody does. It doesn't work that way. It has to do with you and I creating a mental, emotional, spiritual atmosphere, if you will. Let's say a mental atmosphere of expectation of good and seeing ourselves in a way that causes us to present ourselves in the world on a different level. And therefore, what belongs with us finds its way right in our presence. It's not drawing it to us, it's generating it from within. And I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit. But first I want to talk about how it becomes difficult for us. Well, let me remind you of an old joke, and then you'll see where I'm going with this. I think it was like a traveling salesman came across a little country store, and he was lost. And he went in and he said, how do I get to Philadelphia? And this old coot behind the counter said, well, you can't get there from here. I thought that was so funny. You can't get there from here? Well, you cannot get to the fulfillment of your desire from the consciousness you're now holding if they're different. You see, if the vision we have for our life is greater than our self-acceptance of it, we'll never achieve it. They have to match. In New Thought Spirituality, it's a reference to how current beliefs create our future experience. Now, future isn't sitting out there. Don't you? When you think of the future, I picture it, kind of in a linear track, and I'm here and it's there, but no, our future is the next moment. Okay, so in this moment, let's say I'm having wonderful thoughts of prosperity and financial freedom and having more than I ever need. I have plenty to spare and share. Then I take that into the next moment, and the next moment, and the next moment. But if I'm thinking lack, there's not enough to go around, I'm not being paid enough, I can't pay my bills. I keep taking that into the next now moment, the next now moment, the next now moment. There we are in what we call the future. We're taking here into what we would think of as there, but you can't get there from here. You'll just be here again. It'll be the same thing all over again. So if we're honest about our habitual thinking, we might discover we're not in sync with our own dream. We just can't get there from here. Something has to change. Something has to change in us. Now, we don't have to change, but our perception has to change. Our perception of self-identity is everything. And as I mentioned earlier about drawing things to us, the law of attraction, that it got bandied about a few years ago in some popular books, but it's really a misnomer. There's nothing out there we draw to us. We generate from within. It's the law of self-generation, and we generate from our level of self-acceptance of who we think we are, our level of self-identity. It's everything. So we begin to experience our deepest sense of what is true about us. So if we can say, for example, love, let's say our desire is for a really good relationship like we've never had before. And we have this desire to be loved and to be unconditionally loved and to meet that right person and be mutually respectful of one another and supportive and playful and joyful and romantic and all that stuff. How are we going to get from here to there unless we see ourselves as love expressing? You see, if love is missing in our perception of ourselves, if we think we have to have someone give it to us, we'll never get there. It has to be generated from us, or it doesn't exist. Think about that. If it isn't alive in us, is it even real? No, it's not for us, it's not real. It may be somebody else's reality, but it certainly won't be ours. So here, quotes here, is our current state of consciousness. And there is a higher level of awareness. What I've learned in my 40 years of studying New Thought, spirituality, and metaphysics and everything that goes with it, awareness is all we are. And we appear as a physical self with a form, and that's great. It's part of the fun of being in a time-space dimension. But what we are is awareness. And we take our awareness into every situation, which is why we cannot experience anything beyond that, because that's our reality. Our awareness of what we believe life to be, what we believe the source of life to be, what we believe our place in the flow of creativity is, the creative process, all of those things color our perception of what's going on in the world. And so we walk into our own consciousness, and we find that it matches people, places, things that support that consciousness. So self-identity is getting in sync with our desire. And this is why affirmative thinking always begins with I am. Never I want. Now, it's okay to want things. It's our way of saying, that would be nice for me. But if we really want to practice this, we really want to get there from here, and we really want to change what's present here so that we can make that wonderful discovery that what we're looking for we already have. We have to begin by speaking about our desire in first person present tense as if it were already so in us. And it is. It may be dormant. You may not have pulled it up lately. You may not even believe you have it, but it is alive and well in you. Whatever you want. Whatever it is that you are trying to achieve in life, it's a potential. Last time we talked about your hidden potential, and that's what it is. It's a potential inside of each one of us. And how do we experience it in the world? By expressing it, by giving it, by circulating it, by calling it. I am love in action. See? So I want you to say a couple of things, and I want you to feel the difference in the vibration, because everything's vibration, right? And I want you to say this out loud. I am prospering now. I am prosperity on the move. I always have enough to spare and share. When you say that, you can feel kind of a rise in your own body energy. You can kind of feel it quivering, as opposed to saying, I wish I had more money. I don't have enough money. Boom. It just, I want more money. It drops. The vibration drops. So what we're seeking is to be on a higher level of vibration and a higher level of awareness in relationship to that which we welcome an increase in our life. And if we're on a higher vibration with it, we will naturally start expressing it more, and we will begin to do what it does, and we will have what it is. That's how it works. It's not magic, it's a law. So the higher energy comes from the first statement we make about anything, or the lower energy comes from the statement we make about anything. So today I want you to watch, or this week, watch how often you think or say, I want. Now, I don't want to make that a bad thing. It's just not the higher level. It's not the way to make significant changes in our life. Think about how, when you hear yourself say, I want, without any judgment whatsoever, shift to I am. This is what I call practical mindfulness. It's not just observing what you're doing with your thoughts or what they're doing all by themselves, just trigger it off, right? It's changing them in the moment. That's what it takes. See, and think about this. Who is it that can do that? Who can change a thought? If we were not in charge of our thoughts, we couldn't do that. So we need to erase the old idea that thoughts are more powerful than us and they make us do things we don't want to do. That's not the way it works, only if you're really unconscious. But an aware person can change what they're thinking, knowing that what they're thinking is important because it's here and it's going to get us to there. But you can't get there if you don't change what you're thinking now. So proactive mindfulness is we're not only noticing our thoughts, but we're upgrading them in the moment. We're moving from coach to first class. It's a very effective practice. You just, without any judgment on what the I wants, I wish I had, without any judgment, you just let it go and move on. I was watching the French Open Tennis Championship this morning because I woke up at 4 a.m. and it's noon in France or whatever, so I was watching it. But the commentator, Mary Carrillo, said something really interesting. I think it was Andy Murray made an unearned error. You know what that means? It means the other guy didn't make him do it. He just made a mistake. And she said, a good tennis player has to be able to let it go and move on. And that's what we're talking about in the context of noticing what we're thinking and changing it. So we'll talk more about that when we come back. It's time for our first break, and we have some wonderful sponsors. Take a listen. They have something just for you, and we'll be right back.
Your bathroom can go from this to this in just one day.
This process got done in one day.
It really can. Well, with bath wraps it can.
It was remarkable.
They did a wonderful job.
The new bathrooms, they were so easy to clean.
Customize your bath wraps with hundreds of options.
The price was phenomenal.
Call now and get a free $1,500 designer upgrade and a free $600 safety upgrade.
1-855-672-1559.
This is a national healthcare alert from the Health Hotline. If you, a family member, or a loved one suffers from knee pain and have Medicare as your primary insurance, we've got great news. You could qualify for a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost to you. Get free delivery, and all the paperwork is handled by our accredited suppliers at no charge to you. We also have other pain-relieving braces available for shoulder, ankle, and your back. Call the number on your screen right now to immediately receive a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call Low Cost Airlines. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call now.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business. According to the secret war, banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get the secret war free. Call the number on your screen or visit online.
Welcome back, and thank you to our sponsors. Okay, let's recap just a little bit. We are desiring beings. It's natural for us to want to move up to higher levels of living, or we could say greater degrees of livingness. We assume that there's something outside of us that we need to add to us in order to do that. We want to get from here to there, but we seem to think we have to get that to come this way, and that's backwards, okay? So the law of attraction is really the law of generation, and what we are generating now tends to become our experience. It's a higher vibration if it's a new thought, and that higher vibration has a natural affinity for people, places, and things that are on that same level of vibration. It's very interesting, kind of a quantum physics kind of thing. So to keep recapping, to shift from saying I want to I am. And watch your thoughts throughout the day. And as I said about let go and move on, do not judge, do not say, oh, I shouldn't be saying that. Just say, I just said that. Okay, I am. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Every time you see something that you're desiring in the world as a validation that it exists, sometimes you want things that don't actually exist, but that's okay. You might be the first one to bring it forth. However, most of the time, let's say, for example, you are wanting a wonderful, committed, unconditionally loving relationship. And you see some couple who seems to have that. And there may not be too many of them, but because relationships are not perfect. They require a lot from us. But let's say you see one that looks like that to you. Instead of thinking, oh, I want that. I wonder how they did that. That's never going to happen to me. I want you to say, how wonderful. I see the very thing I'm seeking, and I am love in action. I am love in action. You see, that's quite different from I need to get love from somebody else. Can you feel the difference in the vibration? I know you can. And it's very important that you allow yourself to say these things out loud, because you can actually feel the difference. Whenever you say I am with a positive affirmation afterwards, it lifts you. Actually has very powerful and healing effects on the body. Body's an energy system. It responds to these things. I don't know if you're aware of Bruce Lipton's work. He's a biologist, and he talks about how thoughts affect the cells of the body. And the most powerful thought is love. And why is that? Well, because love, it represents oneness. And oneness is our basic nature. We're one with each other. We're one with the universe. We're one with the source of the universe, called by any name. And so when we love, when we express I am love in action, we're really saying I accept that I am one with all that is and one with all that could be, one with potential, one with possibility, one with spirit, however you want to refer to the source of everything. So I am love in action. Now maybe you're driving past a beautiful home. Maybe your desire is to have a bigger space to live in, a different kind of shelter, something that reflects your taste, and you want to fill it with beautiful things. There's nothing wrong with wanting that. But here's what you want to say. I am at home wherever I go. I love wherever I am. You see the difference? You're not trying to make a thing appear. You're wanting to have the consciousness of loving wherever you are. That's a very powerful experience. Now, if you love wherever you are, I used to say this when I was teaching class, it won't matter if you're in a limousine or on a bus in India, you will be having the same experience at home, wherever you are. This frees us up. It also, and when we couple it with our greater I am affirmations about prosperity and creativity, it makes it possible for us to bring into our experience some shelter that reflects our true self, our true nature. If you love wherever you are, do you get what I'm saying? You will like whatever you see. You will like your surroundings, and therefore you're at home, okay? So we want to be very aware of this, of what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with the creative process. We're dealing with the power of creation, the same power. Marianne Williamson said this: we are dealing, when we think, and especially when we think consciously and affirmatively, we are using the same power that created the universe. In our teaching, we say spirit makes everything out of itself by becoming the thing it makes, so it became the universe and everything in it. And we are made in the image and likeness of the source that made the universe out of itself, and therefore we continue to do what it does. We make everything out of ourselves. I talked about this last week, I think. Okay, so to get from here to there, you need to raise your self-identity by putting I am in front of your statements. Ernest Holmes lived in the 20th century, and he founded a teaching called The Science of Mind, wrote a book by that name. It's one of the best books I've ever read. The most informative, and I've been reading it for 30 years, and I keep discovering new things in it. But he was a spiritual genius, and he said, quote, "Any desired state of consciousness can be acquired if we work at it long enough." It's like, give yourself some time and attention. You're worth it. You know that hair coloring commercial, you're worth good hair color? I think you're worth a change in consciousness, don't you? I think you're worth raising your vibrational level of living. I think you're worth going from coach to first class as a metaphor. I think you're worth being happier, healthier, wealthier, and more creative, more joyful, more peaceful. Don't you? Aren't you worth it? Well, of course you are, because it's built into us to have those things. We're not trying to get something that isn't real. We're trying to allow something to come through us that's trying to do it all the time, and we interpret it as a want. See, we interpret the prompt to love as I need love, when really the message from Spirit, the guidance from Spirit is you are love. Give it, express it, get it out there in your life and watch what happens. Watch how things change. And when it comes to prosperity and wealth, we need to feel the sufficiency of Spirit right where we are. We need to feel our own enoughness. I am enough. And I have enough to reveal who I am, wherever I am, all the time. Doesn't that sound like prosperity to you? There's lots of tools. When I first came into this teaching, I read a book called You Too Can Be Prosperous, and it's by Robert Russell. It's an old book. And you know what he had us do? Write I am prosperity 100 times a day, because he knew that repetition is another way to change the pattern of our thinking. So, or I am health, or I am joy, or I am peace, I am love. Put those two words in front of it, because our life is an outpicturing of what we know ourselves to be. So if it's in our mind, it can be real. You know, if you want to give birth, let's say you are actually a pregnant woman, and you're near your due date, but you want to give birth on a certain date, so your child will have that birth date. If you're really close to your due date, your doctor might induce labor so that you can give birth when you want to. So what I'm talking about here is inducing a new consciousness by introducing new ideas into our mental conversation that we're having with ourselves all the time, into our thought processes, and so that we are affirming all throughout the day, I am, and seeing how our relationship to the experience of it shifts. It's subtle, but it's also very dramatic at the same time, in the sense that you look back and go, wow, I can't believe I used to think that, or wow, this is really happening, or wow, I am more prosperous. I've noticed in the last little while, 3 or 4 things have appeared in my life that I just casually said, I wish I had that. And it wasn't about changing the vibration, it was just things. Like an exercise machine someone loaned me, and I said, I'd like to have one of those. So it works that way too. But when we're going for real deep changes, it's got to be I am. It's got to be I am. But the universe is always supportive. It's very responsive to the human mind. You really you just have to put this to the test. You will just be surprised and delighted at how powerful you really are and how lavishly and relentlessly this responsive universe is attempting to give to us. In fact, it's always giving. In fact, the gift has already been made. The kingdom is within. It is up to us to tap into that potential and let it become our actual experience of life on planet Earth. That's what this living consciously is all about. It's about being conscious of what we are thinking, feeling, and doing in the moment. If we want to get from here to there, if we want to go from lack to prosperity, from ill health to vitality, from loneliness to great relationships, from boredom to creativity, we have to take charge and induce some new ideas into our thinking. And that's what this teaching is all about. It's really a practice. We teach how to do it. It's not hard, but as Ernest Holmes said, you got to work at it long enough to see the shifts. So we are the Mesilla Valley Center for Spiritual Living, and we are a part of an international organization called Centers for Spiritual Living. I've been doing this as a ordained minister for 30 years, and we have Sunday meetings. It's an alternative to your usual Sunday morning. It's very different. At the Mesilla Community Center at Calle de Santiago at 10:30. Love to have you join us. Our website is www.mvcsl.org. And get on our website. You can donate to us. Love to have you share your wealth with us. We're a nonprofit, 501(c). There it is on the screen right now. Or you can contact me personally by getting on either my website, carolcarnes.com, or ccarnes7@gmail. That's my business email. Love to. If you have questions about this, ask me. I'll answer them on air. Okay, lovely to be with you today. Hope I see you. And this is how I hope I see you in person on Sunday morning. But this is how I sign off on all my Living Consciously blogs that I put online every day. I say, stay tuned in. That's it. That's how I'm going to close today. Stay tuned in and raise your level of living.